This segment is sponsored by AJ Fernandez. One of the most talked about cigars in recent years is the San Latano line, and now a groundbreaking line extension, the San Latano The Bull. The Bull features an extensively aged and hardy core of Nicaraguan long fillers nestled beneath an attractive Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. Housed in a cedar sleeve which depicts the outline of a bull, only solidifies this cigar as a full-flavored cigar. Removing the sleeve reveals a box-press cigar with a beautiful oily and smooth chocolate brown wrapper. The San Latano Bull burns nicely and neat as it issues columns of smoke while it hits you with a wall of spice, followed by leather and cedar. This densely packed cigar intensifies deep, rich flavors and becomes a flavor bomb halfway through. It only gets better with each passing draw. Strong yet smooth and perfectly balanced, AJ Fernandez, whom many have called the tobacco prodigy, has somehow pushed the already spectacular San Latano line of cigars forward with the Bull. AJ Fernandez challenges you to take on the Bull, Cigar Snob's number 8 cigar of the year. And by Age Selects, providing cigar enthusiasts with a premium long filler cigars aged at least 5 years at an extraordinary price. The expert buyers at Age Selects go to the factories of major manufacturers and buy cigars that have been aging in their cigars for years. The team at Age Selects inspects them, smokes them, and packages them up to ensure you are getting the best quality cigar to smoke. The best part is they're provided to you at an affordable price. Order online at cigarfrontier.com. Welcome back, everyone. Will's got a very special cigar that he wants to talk about. He's very excited about it, and I am as well, as it's one of those very specially packaged cigars called a Culebra, and
Yes.
it's really cool, really cool.
Yep. So, well, I'll start talking, and Chris is going to get some photos up of this. So Viva Republica has released a limited edition Calibra, and I think we just as a plug, we do have the owner of Viva Republica, Jason Holly, coming on the show in April 23rd. On April 23rd, Jason makes all his stuff at the La Aurora factory. So he exclusively works with them to make his cigars, and they're distributed by Miami. He's got this Calibra. Let's just kind of Calibra is, if folks who don't know what a Calibra is, basically it is 3 cigars kind of twisted together. I don't know how you say. I don't want to say it's like a pretzel, but they're twisted together. And what's different about this Calibra is there's 3 different blends in the Calibra. Normally, when you've seen Calibras, it's one blend with 3 cigars twisted together of the same blend. The greatest Calibra I've ever smoked, by the way, is the Oliva Serie V. Without a doubt, it's the best Calibra I've ever had. But this one's got 3 different blends in it. Each is a 5 3/4 by 39. Do we have the picture up yet?
Yes.
Okay, so we got the picture up. And if you look at the picture, you can see there are different colors of the sizes there. And the one thing that was the only negative I'll say about this, and what they did, the packaging was really nice. They packaged it in a coffin box, and they have the nice ribbon that ties it together. The only thing I'll say is if you don't know these blends, you're gonna have a little difficulty telling at least 2 of them apart. They say go from lightest to darkest, but the 2 darker ones are very similar in shade. So if your eyesight's like
So
that's
there's
really
three completely different blends, Will?
3, yeah. So Jason took his 3 regular production lines. He has a line called Rapture,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yes.
is uses an HVA wrapper, Havana Vuelta Abello wrapper. He took a Rapture Maduro, which is a San Andreas wrapper, and he took his 3rd cigar is called Guerrilla Warfare, which he uses a Sumatra wrapper on. And they're 3 different blends, and he basically put them into a Calibra. I read another I actually thought this was a fun cigar to smoke, and I think there was some real interesting notes I'll mention in a second. I saw another review that basically when he was talking about Calibra, and he's not wrong on this, he talked about how the Calibras are often underfilled. And I think there's some truth to that.
I think there is too, because they always smoke great for me, and I think that one of the ways they achieve that is just putting less tobacco in the filler so that you get a good draw.
He made a point. You got to twist it. So it is going to be underfilled, but I think it just it works. Is all I can tell you.
Mm.
It's not. I mean, I drew through all these things, and I did not have a draw issue on this at all. They smoked fat. In fact, I didn't have. I had a little bit of Paul syndrome, and I'll talk about that piece because it was actually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll, the other thing I'll just say before I kind of talk about these is, and I have some other pictures. If while I'm talking, Chris can bring them up. Once you pull the Calabria apart, though, it is ugly.
It is. Oh, it's hideous
It's
looking.
so nice when it's together, but when you pull it apart, you look like,
It,
what the heck are you
it
smoking?
looks like someone took your cigar and just like held it in their fist and like mashed it
But
up.
how do you smoke it? I mean, it's like 3 cigars. Like all 3?
No,
I
you
mean,
smoke them one at a time. Like
Oh,
there's
one at a time.
individually,
Okay,
but
okay.
that's what it looks like when you pull it apart, right?
Right.
And so the
Yeah.
weird part is like it doesn't sit in the ashtray. Like it
Right.
feels weird in your hand. It's kind of like it's fun to smoke them. It's not something that you would smoke like an everyday kind of cigar.
you kind of smoke 1, 2, 3. You
Yeah.
go lightest to dark, dark to.
Well, this
I
one,
mean,
has 3. Usually,
Yeah.
they're all the same blend.
right.
Typically,
Okay.
they're all the same blend. So, like Mark Jr., who was on the show before, him and I would smoke Calibras before because we would take one and take it apart, and we'd each smoke one and kind of talk about how it smoked because it was kind of a fun thing. Like you lay it in the ashtray and it's all like falling over and stuff, and it's a fun thing. What's fun about it is you think like there's no way that this cigar is going to draw well at all. But all
Yep.
the ones that I smoked ones from Tatuaje, some from Davidoff. They've all smoked fantastic.
Yeah, they do. Like I said, the Oliva Serie V, which is a hard one to get, in my opinion, is the gold standard. This I tell you, this one was good. You know the story of why they made Calabria, right? You know the story about that?
Yeah, because the rollers, since if I know my cigar facts here and my history, the rollers were told that every day you could take one cigar home. So what they did was they rolled 3 cigars and twisted them together and said that's one cigar.
Yep.
Isn't that hacking at its finest,
right,
right? Like, no,
exactly.
this is my one
Just
cigar.
one cigar.
Yeah, and I've heard of stories of 4 cigar Calabrias. I haven't seen any.
Well, why
common-
not, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But
If
I've
you
heard
can go
of some
3,
when
why
it-
not go 4,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. But they all, like I said, so the difference is, when you have like the Series V one, which is all the same blend, sometimes each of the components, they smoke a little different because they're different shape.
They are,
So
yeah.
that's kind of
yeah.
so you kind of miss a little of that with this, and like you said, when you guys were smoking them, you can compare notes. But so these were 3 different blends. I smoked them on 3 different days. Um, the Rapture Natural was the strongest of the 3.
Mhm.
It was very. I've smoked all 3 of the blends of these in the Parejos as well, so it definitely had the most strength of all of them. It had a little bit of that Peruvian tobacco in there, so you got a little bit of that herbal note. But strong cigar. Now the Rapture Maduro, I pulled the Calabria apart, and the wrapper just started to unwind, right? And I'm like, fuck, right? Because I really want to smoke this. So I have pectin, which is like a vegetable paste, kind of a vegetable.
Yeah.
It's kind of a gel. You could see on my pictures a little bit of shiny spots. I did a repair job on it. And I think I did a pretty good repair job because I only had one of these and I really wanted to smoke it. And had it not, I wouldn't have reviewed it had it not been fine. It was fine. I mean, that was the closest thing to Paul syndrome I had because the wrapper stayed on. The burn was fantastic on it. No issues with that. It was also the best of the 3, I thought. It had some nice dark chocolate notes. In fact, it was one of the better Calabria components I've had next to that Series V. Little more dialed back than the natural. I think had a little more strength. So this was a little more dialed back. And then the Guerrilla Warfare, which was the 3rd one, was had the straightest of the Calabrias. So naturally, it did burn the best. It had razor sharp burn throughout the whole thing. That has a little more of a tangy sweetness to it, and a little bit of a hickory note in there. It's kind of medium to full. I'd put each of those probably between fibers and box splits with them. I ended up going box split because this is a fun, and I wouldn't mind getting a few more of these and just keeping them around for
Yeah.
once a year type of smoke or
Absolutely.
something like that. But they're starting to make their way to the stores with these now. It's $18 for a coffin. I think anyone who carries Viva Republica will probably be getting some of these. So worth checking out. I think it was I had a lot of it was a fun smoke to do. It was really fun.
And speaking of fun smokes, Will, of course, this week was St. Patrick's Day. And I'm wearing my green shirt today, I guess, in honor of St. Patrick's Day. But
St. Joseph's Day.
yeah, today is St. Joseph's Day, and I
Joseph's
wore
Day,
green.
yeah.
Yeah, go figure. We didn't have Zaples. You saw a Zaples
I saw
today.
Zapley. I didn't
We
get
didn't
to
have
eat
one.
one.
I was too full after lunch to even want to think
love
about
Zaples.
We'll have to
eating
go next door and see if there's
any left after the show. I
right.
agree.
Oh.
So on St. Patrick's Day, I had an Illusione 888 Candela. And for those who don't know, you may have had your grandfather or whatever smoke a green cigar. And it's actually a cigar that hasn't been fermented as long, so some of the chlorophylls maintain in the wrapper, and it's green. And these were very popular. Well, would you say in like the 50s or so? Am I getting my time frame right?
I would say, yeah, they were popular, going back to that way before. I mean, they weren't popular during the boom. We're going back into.
Back before that,
Yeah.
probably before the embargo too.
Yeah.
Pretty popular. American-grown tobacco a lot as well.
Yeah.
Would have that Candela wrapper. And it's funny when I break some of these out, a lot of people will comment and say, "Oh, my grandfather used to smoke green cigars." Like it kind of sticks in their mind because it's different. What's interesting is Will brought up an interesting point earlier this week. He said, if you age a Candela cigar in your humidor for a length of time, it'll start to turn brown. And when I look at the picture of this one, which I know is 2 years old, it's not as green as it was before. And I bought these when my second son was born, who's now 2, because he was born around St. Patrick's Day. And I bought a box of cigars. And we kind of do this thing where when our children are born, we buy a box of cigars. And we buy enough that hopefully by the time that they're 18, we have enough left that we can have one of those cigars with our child.
We'll see. With my first child, I went to Niagara on the Lake, bought a box of Cubans.
There you go.
And we smoked them all in celebration of her birth, so there's none
There's
left.
none left. We'll have to get you some Cubans to help celebrate that. So I like to smoke like one a year to kind of see how they're doing around the birthday time. And this cigar is really good, Will. This is starting to, after 2 years, starting to smooth out a little bit. The Candela wrapper can be kind of different in the flavor profiles that it has in there. A lot of Candela wrap cigars would be kind of mild and kind of grassy. The one from Illusione, this 888, tends to be a little more pungent. He put a lot of Nicaraguan tobacco in the filler, which gives it some nice punch. And they're aging really, really well. After 2 years, I would say this smoothed out a lot. It was extremely enjoyable cigar. I'm actually really glad I have a box of these. I really like smoking them, and I will kind of hold off. I have to go count because I didn't quite get a full box. I got to make sure I got another like 16 left.
Yeah, you got to
like
space them out like
gotta
every 2 years. or
Yeah, I
something.
might have to skip a year
right.
here or there to have enough to have 2 left when he turns 18. So
Yeah, when I've gotten some of these in the 88 or the 888, they're that Kermit the Frog green when they start
they're
out.
really bright green and if you look at my picture in the show notes, well, you can see it's not that really bright green. Like it's definitely gotten a little more toned down.
Yeah, I mean, I have my Viaje 2011 sitting in my humidor, and I almost pulled it out for St. Patrick, and I didn't. And that thing's now basically olive brown. I mean, it will probably be completely brown in another year.
Yeah, because it ferments naturally in your
Call 'em
humidor.
taupe.
It's pretty cool.
Goes from green to taupe to brown.
So, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
But I think, that was when Dion and Andre came out with their Candelas. I think they were game changers. There was a bit of a Candela boost in about from like 2010 to 12.
There was,
this year. There were no new Candelas that came out this year. I was shocked.
There were none. Zero.
I mean, every year someone was coming out with a Candela. I mean, Alec Bradley came out. Remember Fuente did theirs, but this year it was the only one that came back was Alec Bradley came back with another run of their existing one, and Roma Craft came back with it.
Do they still call it the Hooligan?
The Filthy Hooligans.
Filthy
and they
Hooligan.
and they cut production significantly this year, so there wasn't a lot of them.
Interesting. I like smoking the green cigars on St. Patrick's Day. I think it's
Yeah,
I think it's fun.
and it's a here's the thing about Candela. People will knock Candela. Once a year thing.
It is, yeah.
It's a once a year thing. You
Well,
don't
it's
have
different. The flavor profile is different when you get off a Candela.
I guess
think
the
it's
Irish
fun.
just want to drink rather than smoke.
They would
I guess.
rather drink rather than smoke. I
so
would
I think
definitely agree with
that's-
that.
I think it's a fun. Like I said, I think it's a. Look, it's a mild. It's going to be a mild smoke. I think Skip Martin with his Fomorian is another one, which is probably that's probably the best Candela I've had in the last few years. That the Dion and Andres are the three I like. Yeah.
Cool. Back to you, Will.
Okay. So my last one is another visit into the Avo greatest hits. And they just announced the Avo 15 this week. In fact, we had that story first, by the way, on Cigar Coop. But there's a big change with the Avo 15, which you could read about out there. They're kind of moving it away from Avo's birthday. But previously, all the Avo limited editions have coincided with the release on Avo's birthday, which is Sunday, by the way. And I always smoke an Avo on Avo's birthday, so I'll be smoking one this Sunday. This is the 2008, which is the Tesoro Treasure. It's the only one of this set that has a footer band on it. It's got an Ecuadorian sun-grown wrapper, Dominican binder, Dominican filler. It's a nice 6x54. It's a nice weighty cigar. This one in there, and it was one of those, I'd say, classic Avo in a lot of ways. Grassy herbal notes, a little bit of pepper, some sweet earth, a little bit of nut. I've reviewed this cigar, smoked this cigar. There's a point in the middle of the cigar, you get a little bit of honey sweetness, not a lot, and that's kind of comes and goes. I think that this one, I had some Paul issues with this one in the past, especially the last couple of times I smoked it. The one I got as a sampler was fine. I'd say it's not the best one in this set. It's not the worst one. It's kind of in the middle. I'd give it a 5. I'd probably put this one at a 5 here.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment on this one, Will. It's interesting when I talked to Stogies Santa, years ago, and having loved the Avo previous like special releases, he's like, you got to try the 2008. He's like, it's good, but it doesn't, it's not the best one of the bunch. And being that it was so old at the time, right? It released in 2008, and I was smoking it in, 2010, 2011, 2012. I never pulled the trigger and bought a whole box of them or a whole bunch of them. I'd try them to kind of see how they were doing. I'm like, yeah, that was good, but I don't know if I'd go back and buy a whole bunch. So I definitely agree with your assessments. Good cigar, but nothing to go gaga over, certainly.
It seems like in 2009 is when they made a shift with the series.
They did, big time.
And they made it a little more bold. They started coming out with more bolder blends, more contemporary blends. This one's a little more of a throwback Avo cigar. So, it's more classic Avo. It's not a bad cigar. I think, like I said, probably of the set, most people would say the 12 is the weakest. And 25th anniversary, I thought, were the two weakest. It's going to be better than that.
Now, I smoked the Avo, the second movement. And this is one you talked about a lot, Will. What's the story behind this cigar? You talked about this one.
Okay, so there's two movements. There's the first movement and the second movement.
Yeah.
I love the first movement.
Okay.
The first movement, and they're two different blends, two different sizes. The second movement was a disappointment. And they're both for the TAA. So you probably got this, I'm guessing, at Corona?
I did, yes.
Yeah,
because I had never seen it here. Because I don't think there's a TAA retailer here.
Yeah.
Tobacco Association of America.
They are
the release cigars. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. The cigars that go to the TA, they go to the TAA. You're not going to find these in a flagship store unless they're TAA. They're very, very. I'm curious what you're going to say about this, because I actually thought this was. I thought the first movement was one a top 5 cigar a couple years ago. This one was a colossal letdown compared to that.
Yeah, I had it at a 5. I thought it started off strong with those classic Avo kind of grassy herbal notes. We didn't smoke anything today, Matt, that had kind of that grassy herbal note to it. You would know it. It hits you in the face usually when you first light it up. You get this. There's no other way to describe it other than grass, hay, and herbal. It's kind of like a mixture of all three. And it's very distinct. It's very different from other cigar flavor profiles, and you'll know as soon as you light it up whether you like that flavor or not. It's kind of like a very peaty, or
A Scotch, yeah.
peaty Scotch,
Yeah.
right? Like you know
Taking
whether
a
you like
younger
that.
Highland Park and going,
Yeah,
"Whew, there's the
you'll
peat."
know whether you
Yeah,
like that
right.
or not when you first take a
Or
sip, right?
Glenlivet in this case, right?
Yeah. So this one was. I liked the flavors in the first third, but then it kind of didn't really do much for me after that, and I kind of had it as a 5 or will. So
I didn't even have it that high. I had it as a try one, and it was almost angler. I just thought it was unbalanced. I thought it was, in the words of Stogie Standard, it couldn't make up its mind what it wanted to do. Um, I'm a big Avo. This was a disappointment in the line for me.
Yeah, other than those flavors in the first third, I don't have much else to say about it really.
But it did have more kick than
It did. It was definitely amped up after the first third, right?
Yeah, it definitely was. You definitely got that amped up thing. If I have another movement, I got to get, because I think knowing that first movement is fantastic. It's one of the best Avos to come out.
Interesting. It was the first movement you liked.
I'm done, by the way, so you can keep going.
Yeah, I did a Falto dos Banderos. This was a 5er for me as well. I thought the flavors were good. It was a good cigar. It didn't wow me or overwhelm me in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but it was a good kind of solid smoking cigar in the Lancero format. I also smoked the Swag Black Robusto, Will.
What was your thoughts on that?
I thought this one was good. I think it's definitely a solid 5er. I kind of wish we had some rankings, beyond a try one and a box split to go with, because some of these 5ers that I smoked this week was kind of interesting. Like, I wish we had some more granular ratings.
Yeah,
like,
we may have to look at that.
Yeah, the Swag Black was like more of a solid 5er, whereas the Dos Banderos probably a little less than a 5er, kind of on the ranking scale. But I think the Swag Black was pretty good. I mean, it had some good solid flavors, some kind of caramel. I was surprised by that, like the caramel kind of flavors you get from that. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I was. The Swag always is the one that's forgotten about. I was pleasantly surprised with this cigar.
Yeah, I was too.
It's all Ligero in that filler too, and it burned pretty good for me.
Yeah, you get that sweetness from the Ligero.
Yeah. But there was more sweetness on that cigar. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a very woody cigar, which I tend to get a lot with those Swags. And this one was one of the surprise ones that he came out with, I thought, last year.
Yeah. So, Will, do you have a contest question?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Let's hear your contest question.
Okay. When we talked about Calabra, I mentioned my all-time favorite Calabra. Send it to the show at stogiegeeks.com. And what is our prizes?
We're going to do a Smoke Naked t-shirt. And I think another Hoya de Nicaragua red, because I don't know what else I have in the prize pack. So we'll do another Hoya de Nicaragua red and a Smoke Naked t-shirt. How's that sound?
I think that sounds great.
I might have, next show, remind me, Will, I might have another one of those 3-packs from La Roma de Cuba.
Yeah, we have some more goodies coming in too for contests. We the Saga people have some stuff for us. I have some stuff that I've gotten as well. So we'll mix it up. But definitely get your and if you got a Smoke Naked t-shirt, put it on social media.
Yeah, please do.
I want to see it because we want to see it. Yeah,
they're awesome.
Spread the word.
I can't wait to see how many are going to be at IPCPR this year in Vegas.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I think we'll have to do a little contest. Anyone who finds an IPCPR Smoke Naked t-shirt and IPCPR, we'll give out some prizes.
I agree.
We should get my wife one and we do a little picture contest for her.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We don't have female ones of these ones yet.
Yeah.
Guys,
your wife's in the minority. As far as women that like to smoke cigars, it's definitely a minority.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She'd model it for us though if you got one.
That'd be great. Maybe out in Vegas. Is she coming out to Vegas this year for the security thing?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I'll be. So Will goes out to Vegas for the cigar show, which is
not this year.
Oh, you're
New
not.
Orleans.
Oh, it's New Orleans this year, but normally it's in.
But it goes to Vegas for 3 years after this. So.
Yeah. So normally but the security show that we go to is right after that. So I can't do both in a row. Otherwise I'd be gone for an entire month
your wife
straight.
would kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's got to go to the.
He goes to the cigar
show.
I go
you
to
come
the
to the security show.
Yeah.
But you bring the cigars.
I'll let Paul go to Dorkfest. I'll go to the cigar show.
That's pretty much how it works. Yeah.
But we got to bring some good cigars. We got to get a good, kind
Absolutely.
of woman's tea,
we
and
got-
we can expand
So
the audience.
we were talking before. Matt wants to bring like Phil Zangi out to the security show and have him like come
like
to
an
one of our parties,
education,
like an
it's part
educational
of
thing.
the
Yeah,
Stogie party we have.
Oh yeah, you know what? That he'd
He's
love that.
Good choice for that.
He'd love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Do a little entertainment and a little education at the same time.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
Why
Yeah.
not?
He is the world's most interesting man, as we established on the show.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Well, I've heard.
He is.
Very cool. Well, Matt, thank you very much for sticking around
Thanks,
for
Matt.
Stogie
Yep.
Geeks. It's hard work smoking cigars and drinking booze while we
Yeah,
do the
right.
show.
Absolutely. It's such a
It's
rough
hard
life.
work, but someone's got to do it, right?
I'm glad, I'm glad you do it. And I'm glad I get to enjoy it every once in a while.
That's good. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Well, thanks as always, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll see everyone next week on the Stogie Geek Show.
Thank you guys.